Hello, everyone. This is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello, everyone. This is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Ferrer, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired. Because of Google Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the GlowCloud team.
All right, hey everybody, Mike.
Welcome everyone.
Take us up. Yeah. All right,
Anybody.
welcome to the Cloud Career Q&A session. Mike was going to do the introduction, but it looks like he got a little stage fright there.
Okay, I thought you were going to do your thing, and then I was going to do the introduction. There we go.
No, so we'll let Mike do the introduction. Here you go.
Well, welcome everyone. How are you today? My name is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I'm excited to be here with you today to help you build your best cloud computing career. Maybe you desire to become a cloud architect, or you want to know the difference between a cloud architect versus a cloud engineer career, or you're looking to know how to get your first cloud architect job, or you want to know why now is the perfect time to be a cloud architect and why it's not a great time to be a cloud engineer with all the AI and other things coming. We can talk about these kind of things. If you want to learn how to stand out from the crowd or learn how to make more money in tech, that's why we're here. We're here to help you build your best technology career. For those of you that don't know, I'm here with a very, very capable, exciting team. Personally, I've been a cloud architect, enterprise architect, network architect, business architect. It's all architecture for me. And I've done so for 25 years now. And for more than 2 decades, I've helped people build their best technology career, get the first tech job, help negotiate a 6-figure raise, and do those types of things. And I love helping people build cloud computing careers. In fact, almost every day, someone says, "Hey, Mike, I just got cloud hired." And to me, that's the greatest thing. But it's not just me. You know, it takes a team to really build the most elite architects, to be ranked #1 school in cloud computing like us, and to be in all kinds of news media. And it's my team that helps make my students successful. On this call today, and the people that can help you are including Chris and Alonzo. Christopher Johnson is my Chief Operating Officer. Every crazy idea, he manages to make sure it actually works. And believe me, Chris does so much to make our students successful. Chris joins us, and not just as my Chief Operating Officer. He spent a tremendous amount of time in HR, human resources, and he knows how to hire people, and he knows how HR thinks. And while I've had thousands of conversations with HR over the years, Chris has actually done it. And he gives our students the HR perspective. He also has done a lot of corporate leadership for about 15 years. So you combine me and Chris right there, you've got 40 years of professional experience. Obviously, everybody on my team has MBAs because business acumen is really critical to long-term career success. Now, we're joined with Alonzo Coleman, who's got 32 years marketing experience, and of course, he's got an MBA as well. And, he helps our students build such good brands that our average student gets 5 to 15 interview requests per week as soon as they list Go Cloud Careers and they follow his suggestions. Our students, generally speaking, don't even apply for jobs. In fact, our students' biggest problem once they put Go Cloud Careers on their resume is telling employers, "I'm not ready to move yet, but let's talk in 6 months." Because, it takes time to get training. So that's the team we have on this call. And we're here to help you build your career. See, when I started my career and I left practicing medicine, I built my own executive team, my own executive council. The president and all presidents, they don't have to be a Navy SEAL to know how to launch a war. They have advisors. When I started my career, I was a principal architect in less than 2 years. Most people 15 to 20 years or they never get there. Why? Because I had advisors. When I took my first really good architect role and I wanted to move into something better, I had an advisor. See, there's 2 ways you can learn. You can learn by making mistakes, which I think is the worst way to learn, or you can avoid the mistakes in the first place and have someone give you the right advice, the right guidance, so you can learn from others' mistakes instead of making them yourself. Imagine a doctor, for example, that wanted to learn by mistakes. "Oh, sorry, Mr. Patient, you're dead. Sorry, Mrs. Patient, you're dead. Oh, better luck, I'll learn next time." No, that's why physicians go to medical school. That's why they learn. That's why they do a residency. And that's why we're here, to help you truly, truly, truly maximize your career. So that's why we're here. So pile up in your questions. Please don't wait till the end. It happens every single time. People wait to the end to ask questions. Maybe they're shy. Sad reality is this. I do private one-on-one calls. Even at $1,200 an hour, we still have an 18-week wait for people to ask questions to me. And that's why we come online, our whole team, once a week here and once a week in the How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. And we will literally answer any of your questions. So please, don't be shy. Ask us your questions and let us help you build your best career. Let me turn it over to Alonzo, and then we'll go to Chris, because I know Chris always makes lots of announcements and things like that.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time and your effort in trying to join us so that we can give you the best cloud career content possible to ensure that your dreams become reality by transitioning you to a proper mindset, proper training, proper execution of what cloud architects need to become successful. So we really encourage you to ask questions as we continue to provide any content as necessary. We want you all to get started to transform your lives. And that requires you to join us and be present and participate. So please ask your questions so that we can get you on the path. And we're looking forward to responding to you quickly. Thank you.
All right, so I see some questions in there, but before we get to these questions, let me tell everybody about some things that we've got going on. So the first thing that I want to make sure everybody is aware of is that we've got a free AWS bootcamp coming up. You guys have been asking for it. It's been about 6 months since we've done one. And so we have decided to do another free AWS bootcamp. You can register for that at the link in the chat box and the link in the description. That will be the week of April 11th through the 15th, completely free to you. Take advantage of that while it is available, and we look forward to hosting that for you. We always have such a great time on these boot camps. Mike enjoys them, Alonzo enjoys them, I enjoy them. Get to take advantage of this opportunity, and it'll be an interactive opportunity for you. So don't hesitate to take advantage of that. The next thing that I want to make sure everyone is aware of is that we still have our discount countdown going on for the rest of the month, and only through the end of this month, we have a 30% discount available on our award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program. Regularly priced at $24.99. You can get this with a 30% discount on the full payment and on the payment plan options. So that is only through the end of the month, and that is for our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. That program combines tech training plus soft skills training to make you the ultimate cloud architect. Gives you access to over 500 hours worth of on-demand content, gets you access to 3 live classes a week for an entire year. That's roughly 150 classes at the price of a few days pay for the average cloud architect. Just for a quick comparison, the average 1 semester class at a university in the United States, at an average university, the average price of a single class for a single semester, 16 weeks, 1 class for 16 weeks is roughly $2,000 to $3,000. So for less than that, you can get access to 150 classes over the course of a year taught by experts in cloud architecture and business. So take advantage of that discount while it's available. It will not be here past the 31st. Also, we have our How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, where we'll share with you everything that we learned along the way that has led to the development of our award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program. So we share with you our entire game plan, so you know exactly how we propose to help you. And if you choose not to do it with us, you can do it on your own. Now, no, it will probably take a little longer, but you'll at least have the game plan. So come to that, take advantage of that free resource. It's another opportunity for you to hear from us and interact with us and ask questions of us and learn more about our training and our program. So take advantage of those 3 opportunities while they are available. And then last but not least, I don't have a little fancy banner to put up top here yet, but as you saw during our pre-roll, we are now accepting enrollments for our May batch of our Tech Interview Mastery Program. We are accepting enrollments for that as of right now. We will only allow 25 people for that batch. And for a limited time, you can enroll with a 40% discount. So I want you to take a look at that. I'm going to put the link in the chat box here for you. You'll also find the link in the description so that you can learn more about that opportunity. Give me just a second to put that out here. And Mike, if you want to say a few words about that Tech Interview Mastery Program while I get this link.
Absolutely.
And then we'll get to the questions.
Absolutely. So, I have to tell you, the interview for me is one of the most critical parts of the entire process. It's so important to me that I've spent 20 plus years researching the interview process, coaching doctors and nurses on how to get hired on interviews, coaching network engineers, cloud architects, cloud engineers, technology professionals of all kinds. And why do I love the interview so much? Well, here's what every mistake everybody makes. They spend all this time on tech training, and then they go on an interview and they flunk the interview. Now, here's the thing. I hate to say it, the interview is war. Only one person gets hired. There's no participation trophies. There's no second place. And when you prepare for battle, destiny favors the prepared. So an interview is so critical. And our last batch literally sold out practically overnight. That's why we're launching a second batch. Is the difference between getting hired and not getting hired, getting the jobs that pay $100,000 more versus the other jobs, the best jobs. And also, the interview is your chance to really get a higher salary. How much of a salary difference does it matter? I'm going to tell you right now. On average technology job, there's a $50,000 to $100,000 difference between the bottom and top paid person for the same role. On average, and a good job like a principal architect, which I had in 2 years, it's upwards of $200,000. It's not your experience; it's how much the hiring manager desires you, and how do you make them desire you? Well, the perfect resume, the perfect LinkedIn profile to get them to bring you into their office, then the perfect interview, and then the perfect salary negotiation tactics. And we teach all of this. And I got to tell you, watching our students get hired, watching them negotiate an additional amount of salary, enough for them to buy a car in cash, that was exciting to me. See, I grew up poor. I'm not ashamed of it. It's fine. I fought my way out of it into prosperity, and I've made many people rich. And, Alonzo and me and Chris, we get to watch people that go from really struggling, maybe driving an Uber to $200,000 plus jobs, and I love it. And interview training is critical, and that's why we put it. I've not only been studying the interview, I've interviewed 6,000 people, actually over them, from chief information officers, chief executive officers, HR people, technology professionals, hiring managers, directors. Let me put it here. I've spent over 20,000 hours studying the behavioral science of the interview, the psychology of the interview, the sociology of the interview, neurolinguistic programming, sales tactics, and anything necessary to get you all hired. So I strongly recommend you take our Tech Interview Mastery Program. It will change your life, your salary, and the trajectory of your career. So I know we've got lots of questions. I want to answer them. So please ask your questions, and my team and I will help you.
All right. Promise Yourself asks, hi, I want your honest opinion. Will AI take over cloud jobs as well? And what skills in the cloud or networking can't be overtaken by AI?
That's a good question.
Promise networking. It's a great question. And if you've seen any of the articles we wrote, if my team can post it, I just wrote an article for Chief Information Officer magazine on the future of technology careers. I've also been recently featured in Forbes and many other topics on this. I'm going to tell you right now, AI will take engineering jobs away, and it's going to build architecture jobs, and here's why. Architecture is where you take all of these various technologies and you put them together to drive business value. What can AI do? Can AI replace the marketing department? It sure can. Can AI replace your software engineers? Of course, you're going to see half of these software engineers gone. Can AI replace a cloud engineer? Absolutely. But what AI can't do is design a solution to impact business performance. AI cannot go to the chief executive officer and tell me about your business pain points, your business challenges, your business goals, your business strategy. That's what architects do. AI cannot build a team of 15 to 30 people to design something. AI cannot entertain your client. And AI cannot build a relationship with your client. AI cannot make your client happy when the technology doesn't work. And believe me, no matter how good the design is, technology will fail. So the whole part of being this is to get out of engineering. Now, promise yourself, how serious are we about getting out of engineering? We had, and still do, but we stopped selling it 6 months ago, an incredible cloud engineering program. My team and I decided to stop selling it over 6 months ago, and here's why. We knew ChatGPT and other things were coming. We knew the way the economy was going to go, and we knew that engineering careers are going to be outsourced to low-cost parts of the world and killed by the technology. We simply don't need as many engineers. The engineering can be done by the tech, but architecture cannot be done by the tech, and that's the key piece. Architecture is about system design. Inventions don't come from artificial intelligence. Every architecture is like an invention. Think about it. The light bulb was invented because of darkness. Darkness was the business problem. Every architecture is based on a business problem. That's why architecture is all different. Reference architectures, for the most part, you can trash them out the window and throw them away as garbage. Why? Because they're a cookie cutter. Here's how you build a house the same way every time. But architecture is about how do you improve business performance. So promise yourself, get out of engineering and you'll be better off. The more AI comes around, the more need for architecture. The better the technology is, the more need for architecture, because architects take the technology, put the pieces together in a manner that actually solves business problems. And as architects, we don't configure the tech. The tech's going to be configuring itself. We don't need it. So focus on architecture, increase your business acumen, your leadership skills, your sales skills, executive presence, CXO relevancy, presentation skills, empathy, emotional intelligence, and you're going to be there. Oh, and promise yourself, guess what? By not wasting your time on certifications, you're going to earn more anyway. And even now, there's two sets of ways that people actually work on their careers. I've been telling people forever, don't waste your energies on certification. Waste your time and energies on the stuff that's going to get paid well. That's not a waste of your time. Business acumen training, literally speaking, we're going to release a video on this, is the biggest differential that separates you from everybody else. Biggest business acumen is the biggest key on your salary. Here's a little sneaky statistics. How do you spend your time? How do you earn more? How do you lead? Well, on average, a certification up to a point can get you a $10,000 increase in your career. Now, many people would say that's good, and it is. But business acumen training can add, on average, $385,000 to the average person's technology career. Because the average person with business acumen, according to salary.com, earns $553,000 per year. And, we can show you an example of various tech roles, and this is what we've seen working in tech for decades. We've got a senior director at IBM right now, which is a business acumen job, which basically earns, $400,000 a year. Here's a couple more that I'll pick out. I don't even know what I'm looking at yet. Okay, here's a sales rep at AWS for $330,000. Takes a fair amount of business knowledge to be able to sell tech. Management consultant at Accenture, $384,000, another business acumen job that we're talking about. Senior director at Palo Alto, another business acumen job. We're dealing with about $540,000 on average. Senior director at Cisco, $527,000 a year. And, the same thing applies to architects as well. I mean, when you start giving an architects MBAs and MBA type skills, which is what we train in our How to Make More Money in Tech, now you're getting architects that are earning, $380,000 a year. And that's at AWS. They're one of the lower paying employers for architects. Google pays much more. They pay about $508,000 a year. So differentiate yourself. Don't be the 10x AWS certified person that's the lowest paid person in the room. Be the person that builds the human skills, the business skills, the leadership skills, and you're going to have a phenomenal career. Chris or Alonzo, you want to add anything?
Oh, I totally agree. Let's there's always, and I'm noticing a lot of trend that we receive during our webinars is everyone wants to equate quantitative results, quantitative perspective, quantitative expectations, and you need to start getting out of that mindset and focusing on the business acumen, the overall relationships that are required to create client organizational ideation, if you will, that you can't quantify all the time. You have to understand how to build those relationships, how to understand CXO relevancy, how to understand business acumen, soft skills, presentation skills, being able to tell that story about how cloud architecture is business transformative and beneficial for the company, how it's going to change their bottom line in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, how the opportunity cost of not taking advantage of this cloud architecture is going to be more detrimental than the supposed cost of execution of said cloud architecture. These are the things that we are talking about here, about how you're able to communicate that effectively and not rely so much on what you know schematically about technology.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I'll just add pile on to this thing. It's the age-old question: is AI going to ever be to a point to where it's empathetic enough and has the emotional intelligence to be able to do what a human does? And the answer is no. Because once it is, then the humans will evolve themselves. the humans will adapt to themselves. If anybody ever watched Battlestar Galactica, there you go. Just
I'm more of the old school version, but I'll bite Chris.
Yeah, just wait till the end. Just wait till the end of season 4, and boom. So that's as great as AI is, and it is great. Like it's going to do amazing things. It's going to allow amazing things to happen. But at the end of the day, there are certain roles that will only become more necessary. And I work with I've got a gentleman that works at CBS Sports on their front end development that works in the same building with me. And we were talking about this the other day and about how he agrees that this AI is going to continue to, it's actually going to make some engineer and some developer roles more necessary, but there's going to be less of them.
Yeah,
like they're going to become more important, and they're going to become more necessary, and they're going to be different than what they look like now. But there's going to be less of them now. Again, growth of just quantity-wise, the roles will probably still continue to grow, but as a percentage of the entire pie, they'll shrink. But if that makes sense, if you follow the math there. But he also said that front end is actually safer than back end, and I'm like, exactly, because it's closer to the customer.
Exactly.
So AI is not going to take over everything. It's going to make things better.
And they're only going to be as smart as the innovators that created AI to begin with. So, like Chris said, it's always going to be that human element. Say, for instance, someone wants to try to innovate ChatGPT to try to create some sort of squidded SQL injection or port scanning opportunity for bad actors. There's always going to be a counter for that, which requires that human element. So, relying totally on that tech is never going to be the king trumps all situation. It's going to require, again, that human perspective of how you're able to counter that and thus grow the technology and evolve it for necessary applications.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Mr. Kumar says, I have no idea or knowledge about cloud, but I'm interested.
You're in the right place, Mr. Kumar.
You're in the right place.
You're in the right place.
So just dig around, find things to ask about, and come back and ask us about them.
And that's the thing. None of us are born knowing about cloud. I wasn't born knowing how to practice internal medicine. I went to school for it. I wasn't born knowing networking either. I went to school for it. So Mr. A. Kumar, it can easily help you if you desire. It's a great place to be.
And they asked a follow-up question, and I'm assuming that he's asking about our program. He says, what is the time period and the cost we are looking at here?
Well, Mr. Kumar, this is what I was alluding to the quantitative, is that we normally, this is self-paced, and we add an additional opportunity of learning through our live courses, which are on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So the cost is never going to be cheaper than what it is right now, because right now we have a 30% off discount, which is not going to be indefinite, which again will reduce to a countdown effective down to a 50% and then back to regular prices, which it will maintain. So normally the price is $24.99, but with the 30% off, it will be that. But when it comes to the time period, we can't put a time frame on it because people learn different. I don't know what your personal life is, what your demands, responsibilities, expectations are as a single father, married, whatever. But normally the average time frame is about 6 to 8 months. We've had people do it quicker. We have people take longer. However, the overall application of how you're able to disseminate, understand, be competent in this information, as well as present your skills to us for verification, is all up to you. So we can provide the price and the current discount right now, but Mr. Kumar, it's all about how you're able to understand the content and be able to apply it effectively. What about you, gentlemen?
And Mr. Kuma, I want to clarify one thing. As Alonzo said, it's 30% off now, but it's going to 15%, not 50%. We're never going to be.
I thought I said 15.
And that's okay. It may have. It's just hard to hear. What I think is it's going to take somewhere between 6 and 12 months to build a new career. Now, the average cloud architect that we graduate and the average cloud architect in general earns around $200,000 a year. And that's more than most physicians or attorneys. Now, I can tell you, I know what it's like to go to school for basically a decade and for one career and earn less than the average architect did, which is why I switched from healthcare and medicine to architecture. At the same time, law school takes about 7 years and $300,000 of debt. So it takes about 6 months to a year. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. I mean, look, Balwinder was a stay-at-home mom. Noah was a social worker. Wallace, I forget what he did, but it wasn't in tech. Yvonne Tambo was a waiter, and we got him working at AWS. And Daniel was working at Nordstrom, now working at JP Morgan Chase Bank. Al was selling consumer products, and he's now working as a senior architect at Deloitte. So the point is anybody from any background can do it with the right training course. It has nothing to do with your background. That's no more important than what did you eat for dinner yesterday. When you're going to make a decision on what you eat today, it's about what training you get. But, we're about 3 days pay for our average graduate for what we're talking about in terms of cost of our program. My team can provide a link to the program for you there. Anything from you, Chris?
Nope. You guys got that pretty much covered. And they can join our webinar on Thursday to learn more about it. And if Eddie, if you could throw the link into the chat box for the webinar for Mr. Kumar, that would be good. I'll let you read this one off, Alonzo.
It's incredible. This is for Mr. Dominic. He's always got some good questions. It's incredibly nice to see the whole C-suite at Go Cloud Careers offering a free Q&A session live for the world. Thank you so much, sir. Never saw that before. One of the reasons I enrolled in the program. That's awesome. We really appreciate you, Mr. Dominic. We appreciate your presence. You're asking questions all the time, and that awesome compliment. So we're here always to help everyone. I want to emphasize that we are not here for certifications. We're not here to put another notch in your belt. We're not here for that. We're here to get you hired. Okay, we are here to get you hired, and through our program, there's no time frame like a boot camp would be, where they're funneling a set amount of people over a set amount of time to somehow gorge themselves off of content, somehow become relevant, competent, and experts, and push them out the door for the next batch of students. This is not what we do. We create a very excellent and curated experience for our students where they're understanding this content, not over 5 months, 6 months, 12 months, but until you get hired. We want to make sure you're hired, competent, capable, and ready to execute what you've learned here at Go Cloud Careers to become a phenomenal cloud architect. So what we do is that we focus on, it doesn't matter what experience that you have, whether you were a coat hanger salesman or some sort of scientist that wants to convert over to tech, it doesn't matter. We teach everyone from the ground up about tech, what it is, what it does, when you would use it. We focus more on your presentation, CXO, soft skills, how to read the room, your leadership skills, all of these things we encompass into a relevant presentation and package of who you are. Once we know that you're ready to start interviewing, because we will vet you, we will make sure you're competent in everything that we train in. Then we start working on your LinkedIn presence. We start working on your resume. We and the community start helping you hone your interview skills so that once you are ready to start interviewing, you're going to blow the hiring manager's mind, okay? What we consider a standard is more than likely going to be 120, 130, 50% over what the hiring managers and everyone else expects. So you're going to create such a memorable experience for them that they're not going to have any option but to hire you, because they would rather have you as an asset for the organization than a competitor for someone else.
Exactly. And I'll say that when our students go interview with AWS or Microsoft or any of these big tech companies, they're like, why was it so basic? And I said, what do you mean? They're like, you trained us 10 times harder than what we got on these interviews. Why? And I said, because when you prepare for the worst, everything else is silly easy for you. So We train our people in a manner that others won't. So tomorrow, our people that can do what others can't get hired. And that's why we have people getting senior solution architect jobs with 0 experience. Because every job, even help desk, wants 10 years experience. And it's not that they want experience. Nobody cares about experience. They care about, can you actually do the job? And that's why, you know, I can give you a list of 50, it'll drive Chris nuts. People that we got hired that have absolutely 0 experience because, you know, we deal with it every day. The key is be great. So Mr. Dominic, we're thrilled to be working with you.
Right. So AQC asks, how do cloud architects develop a design style that sets them apart from others? Like an architect designer having their design style will appeal to different clients.
Okay, AQC, this is an incredibly dangerous question. Incredibly. We don't have design styles like building architects. No, there's basically two kinds of architects out there. The kind that are incredibly in demand and that get paid $500,000 plus a year, or the kind that look like everybody else. Here's the main difference. The 10x AWS certified person is the lowest paid person in the room, and here's the reason why. They know a little bit about everybody else's job, and they're not good at anything. And all they know is engineering and tech. What kind of problems can they solve, AQC? Nothing. Nothing. They're the first to get laid off, and they're going to be the lowest paid. Now, what is an ideal architect, AQC? Someone that can make a business more profitable. You're never going to have a style. The key is what makes your customers better. I worked with a hospital, and we were looking at a $20 million phone solution, and a $2,000 ice machine made a bigger difference. What do you think I recommended to the client? A $2,000 ice machine. Do you know what happened after the $2,000 ice machine? They wanted the phone solution and a wireless solution because we saved them so much overtime on the ice machine. Whatever makes your customers most successful is the right thing. AQC, how do you become really good and be seen? Be a customer advocate. You know, you run into, I like to call them the serverless bozos or the cloud native bozos or the IaaC bozos, where they love a tech. They just love it. And everything to them is like, it's got to go serverless. It's got to go serverless. Why do I call that a bozo? Because the key is they turn themselves into a hammer. And to them, everything else is a nail. Be customer focused. Who would you want to take care of you? Would you want to go to a doctor who only prescribed pills by Pfizer because he owns stock in Pfizer? And only had 10 pills in the menu? Of course not. You'd die, and half of his patients would die, or her patients would die. That's the worst kind of doctor to go to, someone that's based on money. Same thing for the architect. Make your customer successful. Now, how do you make your customer successful? Well, everybody else is getting their 18th million certification on stuff that's totally unrelated to their job. You learn business. You make sure that you're an expert at reading a financial statement and a balance sheet. You learn about supply chains. You learn about how do you improve the operational efficiency of a business. You learn about an organization's capital structure so you can build a business case for them to truly show them, you know, is it because cloud versus non-cloud is a run versus buy. Should it be a hybrid cloud, a private cloud, a multi-cloud? Why? What's in it for them? Now, your customers' applications, what's going to improve their performance? What's going to increase their revenue? What's going to improve communication and collaboration and remove error defects? What's going to improve the workflow for their employees so they can do more with less employees? What can you enable them to do to make their employees do more in the same amount of time to give them a competitive advantage? That's how you set yourself up for others. So focus on your leadership skills, your sales skills, your executive presence, your emotional intelligence, your business acumen, your empathy. That's how you differentiate yourself. But really, it's not about styles. Make your customer successful.
Yeah, so just before we move on to this next one, just to piggyback on the style of architect, yeah, it's not like a building architect. So the style is, like Mike said, someone that makes their customers successful or has successful projects or makes their team members successful or makes their bosses successful or makes their subordinates successful. If you make other people successful, that will become your style, and that's what you will become known for, and word will get around that you are the person that people need to be working with, that you need to be the one that people seek out. Yeah, because you're not going to be, who is it? Andrew Lloyd Wright or Frank Lloyd Wright, the house the
Yeah,
architect.
Frank Lloyd Wright. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Frank Lloyd Wright of network or cloud architects.
No. Yeah, and you think about, would you want if you want something special from a cloud architect, would you want to buy a suit off the rack, or would you want something curated specifically for your business? You want to have something just for you. Not all fingerprints, our architecture is like a fingerprint. I'm like, it needs to be effective. You can't apply a specific architecture meant for finance and apply it to e-commerce or apply it to the health industry. It will fail, it will break, it will not be beneficial. The change management will be a nightmare. There's so many problems to this alleged cookie cutter application. So please make sure that you know that it's not about some one size fits all. It's about curating solutions that are business transformative for the customer. We need to know what that is, how to be effective in it, and how to execute it as effective and efficiently as possible. So does it help the customer to the best? Great. Is it cookie cutter and you think it needs to apply to everyone? No. We can't hear you, Chris.
You got a little trigger happy with the question here, so
I did. I thought that this was important for us.
I'll let you guys go over that one.
Okay, so you just passed your AWS Cloud Practitioner. You're a fresher. Can you get a job now? Unfortunately, even if you passed all 10 AWS certifications, you would not be prepared for any job. And here's the reason. The certification is the name of the service and how to configure that service. The certifications lost their value and are almost meaningless in today's world for the following reasons. 1, you can buy a copy of the exam completely free. 2, you can pay somebody to pass the exam for you. And 3, AWS just decided, because there weren't enough people that were certified, that they're going to allow you free retries on these things. So the key is, I want you to look at it this way. Certifications are like wrapping paper, and they can help you. They can. But I want you to know how they can help you. Let's assume your brother liked photography, or your sister. I don't know. Let's just say brother for right now. If you brought your brother a really great $5,000 professional camera, he'd probably be pretty excited if he liked photography. Now, if you put that camera in a box with beautiful wrapping paper and a bow, it would be even a better gift. The certification is like the bow and the wrapping paper. The gift is you with the right skills, which unfortunately are not taught in certification. So, Ayush, tell us what job you want, and we can tell you exactly how you can actually get trained for that job. But what's in certification, say the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, is about 5% of what's needed to become a cloud architect or a solution architect. Now, the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional is about 8% of what's necessary to be a cloud engineer, because it's a different career. And we can tell you everything that you need to know to be great, but kind of keep that in the back of your mind. I mean, personally, I had to remove most of the certifications from my resume because it held me back. And when I've got people that are really good students that have too many certifications, I actually have to remove them from their resume. And when they do, they get better responses. So the key is, certifications are great. They're like wrapping paper. It's kind of like if you had a house and you wanted to sell your house, you would hire a maid service, and the maid service would clean up your house and it would sell for more. Here you go, Douglas Gillette, one of my students. He's exceptional, incredible architect. He removed all of his certifications from his resume, and now more people are contacting him. That's the key. Douglas has the right brand, Douglas has the right resume, and Douglas has the right skill. So the key is the certifications are good when used correctly. First, you got the knowledge, then you do the certification. So first you buy the gift, and then you wrap it in wrapping paper. The certifications are like wrapping paper. They'll help you get an interview, but what good is an interview if you don't have anything underneath? So get the skills first. How about you guys?
I couldn't agree more. And this is personal for me, because years ago when I was on my cloud journey and I got AWS, everyone singing praises, certified, certified, certified. You won't be recognized until you get certified. I got the certification for that cloud practitioner, and it provided no value. So I lost time. I lost money to practice for something that was ineffective. Why? Because AWS, and I'm not, again, there's tons of value for certifications if applied correctly, but AWS Cloud Practitioner is only effective if you're internal as a cloud AWS employee because it focuses on selling AWS products and services. It does not in any way reflect the acumen, knowledge, and the ability to design architecture based on technology that is out there from agnostic cloud providers. It shows no type of knowledge about that. So we would be irresponsible if we didn't share that with you, Ayush. So ensure that you understand cloud because a certification does not teach you about the cloud. It teaches you about the services these cloud service providers provide to companies, and that's all it does. So we're here to help you. We're here to help expand your knowledge on what cloud is, how it's applied, and we can do far more than what we can in this conversation.
Sakai asks, thank you for all you do for us in the cloud computing space. What is the future like with the emergence of AI for cloud architects?
Zakai, great question. Zakai, I know you and you're a fantastic, wonderful, wonderful person. And it's always an honor and privilege to work with you. So the key is, if you're a building architect and all of a sudden there's a new material that enables you to design a stronger building, woohoo, this is great. And AI for us is just another tool in our toolkit. We could be doing process-free engineering. We could be using a unified communications application. We could be using machine learning inside of our architecture, or we can be using artificial intelligence. So for us, it obviously won't do our job for us because our job is to design, present, and sell, and AI can't do that. But now we've got something cool to add to our designs. Now we can go back to each customer and say, all those blog writers you have in your company, guess what? We've got a new technology that can help you redeploy those resources into other jobs. And you'll be able to increase your output by 300% and pay less to do it. Guess what, Mr. or Miss CIO or Mr. Chief Information Officer? With AI, we can help reduce your programming staff. As it sounds right now, you have 350 software engineers. With AI, we can probably get rid of 250 of them. And therefore, we can save you XYZ number of dollars per month and per year. And with that extra resources, we can buy these new technologies that will increase your revenue, increase your communication and collaboration. So it's another tool to help us do our job better. When it comes to sales and architectures in sales, every new feature we got, every new tool we have makes us better. Why do you think, Zakai, AWS keeps making 8,000 new services? No, they're all pretty much the same thing with a new name that you want something 1% different. It gives the sales team something extra to sell, which makes their lives better. For us as architects, boy, it helps us. It sure does. It's great. It gives us another tool to actually include in our design. So expect to see it that way. Kind of like, Mercedes now includes Zoom meetings or Cisco WebEx meetings in their cars. Now, personally, I'm not going to be in my car on a WebEx meeting. I'm going to be focused on the road. But, it's a way for Mercedes to say, look at the cool new technology we have in our vehicle. Something like that. How about you guys if you want to add something?
I said it all for me. I thought that made a lot of sense, Mike.
Mr. Dominic says, I have a background in software architecture. I realize it is more technical than cloud architecture, but the mindset is similar in some aspects. How can I benefit the most from my background? That's a good question.
It is, Mr. Dominic. And I'm going to give you something that's really going to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to do it because I care about you being successful. The path to your future success is to forget about your past and move on to your future. Here's the thing. Life is cumulative. I used to practice internal medicine, Mr. Dominic. And I will tell you, that helps me more than my networking background because in medicine, I learned how to ask people the right questions, how to fact find, how to research, how to present to my patients, communicate to my customers, and convince them they needed to take the necessary medications or get the necessary surgeries to survive. That was beneficial. Now, I worked in engineering. Guess what? That taught me how to configure stuff and build stuff. That had no bearing in my architecture career whatsoever. In fact, it almost held me back. So the key is where it will help you is as follows. While the rest of us architects need to focus on the network, the data center, how applications work, how security work, it's one less thing they'll have to learn, which is good for you. It will also give you an advantage on your architecture team because it's going to give you something. See, Mr. Dominic, no architecture is ever made by one person. And every time I've got an architecture, I reach out to people. For example, if I have a big cloud architecture, what I'm going to do is as follows. I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to go find me an application architect, someone like you. I'm going to find me 2 network architects, 2 security architects, some big data architects, a data scientist probably along the way, some DevOps engineers, and you'll be able to be on that architecture team and have the strengths of something. So the answer is it's going to help you that way. And the fact that you're familiar with technology is probably a good thing as well. Your familiarity with APIs and things like that is probably also, but remember, this is a totally different career. And it's kind of like saying that if you were a flight attendant for 20 years, will that make you a better airplane pilot? No, it won't. No, it just won't, because it's a totally different career. And the key is, if you became a pilot after being a flight attendant and you still wanted to go to the back and hand out your drinks, you're not flying the plane at the same time. So, Mr. Dominic, the key to being successful when you change careers, and this is a completely different career, is to take the lessons you learned in the past. I'm sure there was some team building in software architecture. I'm sure there were some things that you can do and get away from and move completely focused on your new career. Because the reality is our world's not software architecture. So take what you can. You may have some knowledge of microservices, which are going to be very helpful. You're probably good at helping customers determine whether to go microservices versus monoliths, because you can understand which would give you an advantage in some of these cloud architectures. It'll put you in a better position to start looking at serverless versus server-based. But that may help you with 10% of your career, but the rest of it, you just have to move on. And I hate saying this because it was, I learned to be a nurse before I learned how to practice medicine. I'm going to tell you right now, nursing did not teach me anything about medicine. One was building a plan and one was carrying out the plan. They were completely unrelated. And if somebody became an airline mechanic before they became an airplane pilot, that would not help them fly the plane. So it's a new career. I recommend that you start moving on completely to the new career. Try not to let your old career hold you back. And that's really the secret. We have Alonzo that has a really good marketing background. He's exceptional. He came to us, bunch of certifications. We trained him to be a real cloud architect. He got a great job on the cloud. And quite frankly, because Alonzo has always been like a brother to me since I met him, I begged him to come work for me. Took him out of his cloud job. Chris comes from a hotel background and an HR background. You know what it takes to take a hotel from concept into deployment, a big hotel? Incredible operations management skill. Incredible. And to manage people and deal with the clients and be a general manager like the kind he was, I mean, that's an extraordinary set of skills. But Chris, do you think about managing hotels now, or do you think about running our company?
If I think about hotels, it's only to think about the lessons that I learned and how to apply them to running the company.
Right.
Because, experience is cumulative. Life is cumulative.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to the concept of that we talk about in our webinars, what type of experience actually matters.
Yeah.
And so there may be some things that you can take from your previous life or your previous career and relate it to your new career. You're not going to be able to bring all of it. I'm not worried about minutes per room or how long it's going to take to get the plumbing finished on the 3rd floor so we can move to the 4th floor. I'm not worried about when the building is going to be topped out so that we can start putting up wallpaper. I'm not worried about those things, but everything that went into worrying about and thinking about those things are a lot of the same things that go into what I think about day to day here. It's the same stuff. Like you just pull back the layers of the onion. Yeah. It's all the same at the end of the day, at least from a business standpoint. So I say all that to say, okay, so obviously software architecture and cloud architecture are not, boom, mirrors, opposites of each other, but there are some things from your experience as a software architect that can be helpful in your career as a cloud architect. You just have to figure that out. And that's part of what we do is we tease those things out so that you can either drop them or continue honing them. And so to answer Mike's question, no, I don't think about hotel operations. I think about running the company. All right, we ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Okay, guys, we just have to make more content about ChatGPT, apparently.
Yeah.
AQC asks, how will ChatGPT change the future of system design, and how should cloud architects differentiate their security architecture designs? I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say maybe ChatGPT can make drawing your designs a little bit better. But other than that, it's not going to change the way that you approach the design. The design is still something that you have to think about it. I mean, you're going to use it. ChatGPT is going to be a tool that you use to ultimately create your solutions. Like, it's just like any other tool that you use to create solutions. But as an architect, it's knowing how to use the tools and when to use them and if they're going to be valuable. Most of the time, it's not going to be valuable to you, but it's going to be valuable to those that are implementing your design.
Yeah.
As it stands right now. I mean, we're on ChatGPT 4 right now?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we get GPT 5,000, 10 years from now, and my answer is different. But as it stands right now, that's my 2 cents.
And yeah, AQC, you have to understand the difference between architecture and engineering. Architecture is based upon the business problems an organization has. Business problems. When it comes to optimizing a business, you're looking at the following. Michael Porter from Harvard, people, processes, and technology. ChatGPT can't do any of that. This is all human. And that's why architects get paid so much more than engineers. And that's why architecture and engineering, honestly, are so different than each other that some employers tell us they don't want people with an engineering background. And I know employers and hiring managers that say, I don't want him as an architect, or I don't want her because they're a really good engineer.
Yeah.
And I want my architects to think like business people and not like techies. So the key is, here's how it'll help us. It'll give us a new thing that we can add to ourselves. Hey, guess what? We got a new feature that we can include. Now, AQC, it will help us with certain things. We do a lot of responding to RFIs, RFPs, and RFQs. And we can use ChatGPT to help us write some of the stock documentation. We respond to a lot of emails and where people are using information. And we can probably use ChatGPT to help us write some of our emails. But we're going to have to fix it because an executive is going to know when it feels written by ChatGPT. And if they get that, they're going to toss you out of the room and your replacement will thank you for the nice job. But
now, could you emphasize that again, Mike, so that, and then I'll provide a reason behind that, please.
We can't use artificial intelligence written content because it doesn't feel right. It feels 3% unnatural. And when you're dealing with writing a social media post, you can use ChatGPT. We don't, but you could. But when you're going to be dealing with the elite level, you're going to be dealing with billionaires that you're going to be selling your solution to. They've got an instant 1-second BS detector. And they also they're all about the human connections. Do they trust you? I can tell you as a CEO, and with all the CEOs that I've ever consulted for, it's more about trust than it is anything. When they look you in the eye, are you going to be there if they need to call you? Do they have faith in you and your company? Do they think that you're going to go I can design this stuff on myself. Look at me. I got 1 million certifications. Because if so, get out of here, please. Or do they see you as the person that's going to take them seriously, go back, build a team of 20 people that each have 10 years experience, and in the end, put 200 years of experience into their system? That's the architect. The architect is a manager. It's an executive. It's everything in the business side. Tech and business aren't the same. AI and us are not the same. We are not cloud engineers. The cloud engineers are going to be replaced because, poof, we can use ChatGPT to write a Terraform script, the Python script, the Bash shell script, the Windows PowerShell script, configure the CLI for us. And we're not engineers. We're architects. And our design is not based on anything other than what makes the business more successful. So AQC, I got to get out of the mind of the tech and start thinking in the mind of the business. Well, these questions make me feel like you have a strong engineering background because you keep looking for the tech piece. as architects, let's picture yourself as a building architect. They're not dealing with hammers. They're not dealing with nails. They're not dealing with screwdrivers, jackhammers, and saws. They're dealing with the customer. What do you want, Mrs. Customer? What do your customers want from your business? What do your customers expect? What are your competitors doing? What is Apple doing, Mr. Computer Company CEO, that you're not doing, that you want to be doing? How do you beat them? What do you do better? That's the job of the architect. Stop thinking about the tech. The system design is all human. And I'll give you the example in medicine, and I still occasionally volunteer in practice. Not recently, but I used to. We go to write a prescription. There's this AI decision support, and it says, I go to prescribe, let's say, Motrin 800 milligrams to somebody, and it goes, don't do this. Person's over 40. Person has high blood pressure. Person has this, and then we have to go look at it and say, yeah, thankfully, that's just some silly AI telling us what to do. Everybody over 40's got high blood pressure for the most part, and everybody over 40 has arthritis and therefore is still prescribing it. Now, I'm not providing medical advice here, but every time a doctor writes a prescription, a nurse practitioner writes a prescription, a physician assistant writes a prescription, the AI gets in the way and says, are you sure you want to do this? And 99.5% of the time, the clinician that's trained says, of course I do. And that's the difference between a technician and an architect, or a technician and a doctor, or a technician and a pharmacist. It's different. So how about you guys, if you want to comment on that a little bit as well?
One thing it gives the impression ChatGPT is not Skynet. If everyone is familiar with the Terminator series, it's not some sort of artificial intelligence that's becoming socially and mentally aware. This is not the case. ChatGPT is definitely a great tool. It's growing and evolving in its features, and even Google is implementing some sort of counter product as well. It's called Bard. I'm not sure exactly where they are in its infancy, but understand that ChatGPT is a tool. It's not a replacement for the human element. For example, what is the difference between a paragraph and poetry? It requires that human element that computers cannot account for, that creativity, that nuance, that intellectual understanding of how social and historical mores come into play to feed off of the emotions of other people. Computers can't do that. So that is another reason why you're always going to need people who understand how to play chess over checkers, how to understand how to be able to strategize according to the needs of the company. Where are they economically? Where are they environmentally? Where are they with their culture? How is this new architecture going to transform the culture within their company? How is change management going to be implemented? What are the best ways to execute this according to the leadership that's available? What are their likes and dislikes? All of these things, and maybe a 3-4 dozen different considerations are things that a computer can't account for. So remember, the human element is always going to be invaluable, and it falls right back on what we teach. Soft skills, emotional intelligence, CXO relevancy, presentation skills, understanding how to adjust the presentation for the CIO differently than the distinguished engineer, or in between with the tech, the chief information or technology officer. So I just want to continually drill that in, because you're not able to use computers to replace and answer everything that the human element needs to account for. What about you, Chris?
We just need to make more content to answer these questions.
Yeah, we'll make another video. In fact, I think I used ChatGPT in the CO Magazine article, but watch the reaction. I'll use Alonzo again. I like putting Alonzo on the spot like this. Alonzo, it is ChatGPT. Here's your Terraform script to describe your information. You happy, right?
Totally unhappy.
Okay, now watch. I'm a software developer. I've used ChatGPT, and I've told you that I've confirmed it and everything's going to work. You happy?
No.
I would be.
Well, I rather it would be
the
details.
You added the human.
I added the human the second time.
Yeah.
So the human time, if the human did it, I might be there. Now, watch the difference. Now I'm going to be a machine architect.
Okay, let me hear that.
I'm ChatGPT 27.69. I am the most advanced artificial intelligence in the world. Upon reviewing your technology, I've architected a technology solution on 3 clouds that will do it better, faster, and cheaper than your current environment.
I do not trust that. No.
Now, Alonzo, you know, it was really good meeting with you. I had a great opportunity meeting with your chief financial officer, your chief technology officer, as well as your COO. You know, I've got a really good understanding of your business requirements at the C level. After we've been done that, I spoke to your VPs, I spoke to your director level people, I even spoke to the first line management and your staff. Upon review, we found a few things. The customer journey coming into your business is a little bit challenging, as you would expect. I have my system design engineers and my customer experience engineers working on that. I'll get back to you in about a month after a team of 40 or 50 people evaluates this. We've also found that your network seems to be inefficient. You're getting some slow response times. You're losing some customer data. I have a team of people that used to work at Cisco and Juniper Networks, and they're actually evaluating on that. You know, you got all this big data that we found when we spoke to your database team, but nobody's working with that. I actually have spoken to 5 data scientists that are on the team. 2 of them went to MIT. 2 of them have PhDs in advanced statistics, and 1 of them is very well trained. We're going to get back to you on that. And lastly, we evaluated all your security hacking attempts. What I've done right now is I've got my team, they're working with Cisco, Palo Alto, and Fortinet, and they're trying to architect you the best technology solution. I don't have anything ready for you yet, but in about 3 to 4 weeks, I would come back. Would you be open to meeting with me and your team to discuss
that? Absolutely. Yes. I love that. I love that communication, that nuance, understanding. You spoke to a lot of things that recognize me as a leader, the needs of my company, something that ChatGPT couldn't do. It's the cookie cutter stuff. I'm like trying to apply that wouldn't work versus the human element that you just gave.
Yeah, exactly. So when I gave Alonzo machine written code, he was totally disinterested. And I said, look, I have machine written code that a software engineer looked. Chris looked happy. Alonzo still didn't. Why? Because Alonzo's like me. He still needs to hear more from the person. Both of them would be right. I might be okay with that. I might not be. But when it comes to architecture, we're in a totally different universe. We're not in engineering, and we need the human element.
Yeah, I'm going to share a little secret with everybody about this. So both scenarios that Mike just gave, the machine versus the human, they have the exact same solution. Guess who's going to win every time?
Yeah.
The human.
Exactly.
Even if they have the same one.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's the same concept. And this, Mike, you open the can of worms asking me if I think about working at hotels. It's the same concept as when you're a consumer and you're upset with something, or somebody gives you an answer and it's not the answer that you want to hear, or you think you can get a better answer. You're going to ask to talk to the person above them, and the answer is going to be the exact same. But the individual feels like they've had the opportunity to be heard further, so they'll be more willing to take that answer from that next person. It's so funny that it's a joke in the industry, but it happens so often that it's true. I mean, it's true, but it's a joke. That's how often it happens. That the manager or the decision maker is the person that's giving the initial response to the customer, and the customer isn't satisfied, and they want to speak to the person that's in charge, and the person tries to explain, there's nobody else in charge, and they say, well, go get somebody from the back office. So the manager who's giving this response that says this is the answer goes back and grabs a person that's from the back, that's a part-time employee that's working a 4-hour shift, and asks them if they can take care of the problem, and the customer or consumer tells the person the problem, and the part-time employee says, my manager can take care of this. And it's the person that gave the initial response.
That's interesting.
It happens all the time. But and this is what's going to start happening with AI, is AI is going to have the perfect response. at one point, let's say they get to a point where they've got the perfect response every time, consistently, 100%. They are perfect, right, all the time. Human nature is not going to take it. They're not going to take it from the machine. They're going to take it from another human.
Yeah.
They will accept it from another human. Even if the human is a poor communicator, they're probably more likely to win than the machine.
Yeah.
And it's that, and in some cases, what's going to happen a lot of these is it's not going to be the same because the business needs and the workflows are going to change the technology solution. But even if it was,
I'm not saying by any means. I'm not by any means am I saying that they're going to get the right answer every time. I'm just saying, even if they did, even if the machine did get it right every single time.
Yeah, I mean the delivery is like think about say for instance code. Are you talking to me or are you talking to the computer? The computer's going to understand you just fine, but if you start talking about pseudo yum and all this other stuff to a business owner, out the room you go.
Exactly.
So you think about tech is for technologists, for the engineers. But if you want that human component, you've got to understand how to build those relationships. Building relationships, you don't need to build a relationship with the computer. Hence, all you need is pseudo yum and running a bunch of Terraform, TCL, I think, language for them, and so forth. So, and that's the dividing line of why people need to understand the differences between overemphasizing technology and not putting enough focus in building and understanding who you're going to be discussing this cloud architecture with.
All right, so let's move on to this one. Companies ask
one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites. Every job wants 5 to 10 years experience. That doesn't matter. Help desk jobs want 10 years experience. Cloud admin wants every job wants 10 years experience. It doesn't mean that we don't get people like Delroy Beck, cloud security architect jobs that have never worked in tech, or Jennifer jobs as cloud architects that have never worked as tech, or Vladimir, a cloud architect job and he's never worked in tech, or Noah, who just got one who's never worked in tech, or Al, who just got a senior architect job who never worked in tech, or Yvonne, who got a cloud architect job at AWS who never worked at tech, who was a waiter, or Jeffrey West, the power lifter geologist that we got hired at Calian and he never worked in tech, or Coyote, who just got hired at AWS about 6 months ago, who never worked in tech, or Wallace, you can see his video on our YouTube channel, who never worked in tech, who's an enterprise architect. I give you 50, 100 of these things like nothing. And yes, it's competency matters. Beginners can make over 200 easily. We've had some recent hires in Australia in the 300 range. We had a recent offer in the US for $287K. Like I showed you, Google's average pay for a principal architect, and I was a principal architect in 2 years, is $508,000. I'd say most typically our beginners are earning 150 to 170. That seems to be like kind of the most normal. But yeah, we've got some people coming in higher than that. And what's it based on? Communication skills, leadership skills, interview skills, executive presence, and competency. Competency. And you can see so many of these videos and success stories on our YouTube channel. There's just so many of them there. You can see a bunch more on our website. But yeah, all the time. It's no big deal.
How much programming do you need to know for a cloud engineer? I'm afraid of programming.
So Usman, I'm going to make this very clear to you. We do not recommend cloud engineering careers right now. We stopped selling our cloud engineering course because artificial intelligence will remove cloud engineering careers. Plus, we're in a pretty negative economy right now. And in a bad economy, I'm going to make it very clear to you. Architects get hired, sales reps get hired, engineers get fired. Why? Architects bring money into the business, engineers take cost money. So if you want to be an architect, there's no coding. There's no touching the technology at all. If you want to be a cloud engineer, get used to programming. Just get used to it. See, a cloud architect is a business executive. We design, present, and sell. We go to meetings. We buy lunches, dinners, and drinks with our corporate credit cards. We give presentations. We help negotiate things. It's a great job, and it pays double when a cloud engineer does, and sometimes 3 to 5 times more over time. The cloud engineer is all hands on. So if you want to be a cloud engineer, start learning how to code. Learn to write Python scripts. Learn to write Terraform scripts. Learn to write Bash shell scripts. Learn to write Windows PowerShell scripts. It's part of your job. At the same time, if you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be hands-on all day long.
Yeah.
While the architect's going to be having a $50 shot at Macallan 25 Scotch, that engineer is going to be behind that computer, coding and configuring 2 o'clock in the morning, because you do a lot of the work when people are sleeping as an engineer, because you can't take the systems down during the day. So that engineer is going to need to know a ton of Linux, where the cloud architect does not. That cloud engineer is going to really need to be hands-on, management console, CLI. So it all depends on what you want to do. But as my cloud architect, no coding, no touching the technology, design, present, and sell, and get paid double. Cloud engineer, hands-on work, hard work, coding, configuring, management, engineering all day long.
And being on call on the weekends.
Being on call. This minute was pretty clear. I was an engineer in the first 6 months of my career. Of course, I got a senior network engineer job for which they wanted 10 years experience, and I had 0. 6 months later, I was the lead architect. Here's what the engineer was like: Mike, come in at 3 o'clock in the morning, make this change. 10 o'clock at night, I was still there as an engineer, and I watched these people come in nice suits, going out to dinners and drinks, earning 2 to 3 times more. They were architects. They didn't have to do any of that, so that's up to you. But if you really want to code, cloud engineering is right for you. But I'm going to tell you this one thing, Usman. Don't be afraid of anything. If you truly want to be a cloud engineer in all seriousness, you can learn it with training. If you truly want to be an architect, you can learn that with training. But what I want you to do is pick something you're going to like. That's what really matters. Don't be afraid of anything, because you can do anything. If you want to meet with clients, design, present, and sell, be an architect. If you want to be an engineer and build, be an engineer and build and learn to code. You can do it. There's nothing you can't do if you learn. I learned medicine. That wasn't easy. But guess what? I did it. 6 months later, I decided I wanted to work in tech. I did. No big deal. I learned it. You can learn anything you want, but the key is don't be afraid of anything. But if you don't want to sit behind a desk all day long, do not be an engineer, be an architect. You guys want to add to that?
I go ahead, Chris, please.
I was just saying, I think you got it covered.
Yeah.
Yep. Anna says, hi guys, I've been preparing for a cloud interview with some of your videos, and I want to thank you for what you do. Now I understand that the most important thing is to be confident and well prepared.
Well prepared, absolutely.
Yes, well prepared. Yes.
Proper preparation.
I love the addition of the confidence, because you can be as prepared as you want, but if you're not confident,
yeah.
But the confidence comes from being well prepared.
Yes.
So,
that synergy right there, Chris. You said
circle. Yep. So good luck on that, Anna. Make sure you come back here and tell us how it goes.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. Please tell us how it was.
All right. Ayush says, I'm confused about what I should do next after my CCP. I'm not sure which cloud career is good for the future. Okay, first of all, that's what you need to figure out.
Yeah. Don't go with what you feel is well-paying or popular or trend-setting. Find what you love, Ayush. Find what you love. Become competent at it. Know the ins and out of it. Understand how to communicate the solutions of said career that you want to choose. Become a thought leader in that. Be able to showcase your abilities to do the job. But it all starts, I mean, I could go down the path with that, but figure out what Ayush wants to do, not what is good for the future. What is good for Ayush?
Yo, I picked, I don't know if you attended my class on Friday, Alonzo, but that was one of my talking points in class is if you have a goal, make sure it's your goal.
Yes.
Not someone else's goal, not what you think others want or what others need. And by others, I mean businesses and industries. And if it needs, first and foremost, it needs to be something that you want to do. Then you tailor it from there. So before you do anything else, figure out what you want to do. And let's just do that by exposing yourself to content. about, and when we say expose yourself to content, there's some guidelines that I'm going to let Mike go through about who to find information from. So if we're talking about cloud, there's 3 or 4 main areas of cloud. Main. Don't want you to think that that's all there is, but you're going to want to, and I'll let Mike talk about what to look for in the people that you want to learn from. Not that you want to learn from them, but you want to learn about that role from these people. So, Mike, I'll let you pick up from that.
Yeah, so I usually support you learn who to learn from. I'm going to give you some examples. If somebody has a principal in their title, like principal architect or principal engineer, they've already been successful, and that's why they're a principal. Listen to them. If they're a director or if they're a VP, they're successful. Do not, under any circumstances, learn from people that are ask people that are trying to get to the same place that you have. Like, I would go to a Reddit group if I was looking for bad advice. A whole bunch of people that have never made it, that are each giving each other bad guidance, and they'll be stuck forever. Principal, director, or VP level only. Now, if somebody's got a YouTube channel and they say, buy me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you can put distinguished in there.
What's that?
Distinguished.
Or distinguished as well. Principal or distinguished as well. Good. Now, anybody that's got a YouTube channel and I see this all the time, there's someone that's like, I'm a recruiting expert for Facebook and this. And she says, buy me a cup of coffee. Pay for my YouTube videos. Guess what? I'm going to tell you right now. If they're successful, they don't need your money on their YouTube videos. And anybody asking you to support them by buying them coffee or give a tip on their YouTube channel, run, run, run. Because if they were successful, they wouldn't need your money on a YouTube video. They wouldn't need it. And that means they're a failure at what they're doing. And guess what? They can't help you. They need you to help them. So there's that. Anybody that has associate in their title, run. And here's the reason why. Associate is a junior level position. Companies like AWS hire associate architects. They're people with no architect background or knowledge whatsoever. They get them put into a training program for about 6 months. If they're good, they're no longer an associate. They become a cloud architect or solution architect. If they're bad, they get fired 18 months later and start a YouTube channel or what's Twitter or some one of those channels, and they talk about their experiences. Don't follow them as well. So look for principal or distinguished, director or manager, people that have made it. Run away from anything that's there. Anybody that's asking for your money, to give them a tip. And avoid at all costs anybody junior than a principal, because they don't know how to get there themselves. If they were successful, they would be in principal position or a director or a VP position. Anybody, like right now, I've got our whole C-suite here. We're not saying give us tips. We don't need to do that. We're all in a great position. We've got a great organization. We don't need to beg you for money, and we would never do so. And anybody that does so needs your help because they've not reached the level of success to be able to help you. And anybody that's just brand new or an associate, run away from because they don't even know what they don't know. But the key I use is to find something that's going to make you happy. You know, I studied medicine. I went to school for 7 years. And I went, uh-oh, this does not make me happy. And I did something else. No big deal. But I hate to see you waste a couple $100,000 on education and a decade of your time like I did, only to find out that you're using it for something else. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. What makes you truly happy? For me, I like solving customers' problems. Love it. I also like architecting people's careers, solving people's problems. If you told me I had a code, I'm going to tell you right now, I'd schedule some voluntary surgery, and when I was recovering from the surgery, find a new job, because that's how badly I hate coding. But that's I've got a buddy, Moses, that's like this tech guy, and he loves tech. You walk in his house, he sends the command, his lights dim. This guy likes to code because it's his fun. I go to his house, and it's like, Mike, let's make an application to order pizza. And I'm like, let me pick up my phone and call them. And he's like, no, I can write code. I'm like, you write the code. I'll call them on the phone. I get the pizza delivered, but he writes his application because he likes doing it. But mine gets there first, so it doesn't matter.
Next question is, given that both careers entail problem solving, does architecture require the same mental bandwidth as software engineering?
I don't know what you mean by that, but architecture and software engineering is completely different mindset, completely different thinking. It's kind of like architecture is more the system designer building the plan. You know, the doctor builds the plan for the patient. The nurse carries out the plan in the hospital. Neither one is easy. The doctor's seeing, 4 people an hour and building their plans. The nurse is dealing with 4 people per shift and carrying out their orders and lifting and moving them, cleaning them and giving them their medications and other things. It's not like they're even related. So everything requires mental thinking. But what's your mental thinking? For architecture, it's building a team and leading the team and thinking about the business. For software engineering, it's about thinking about code. Nothing's easy. I'm going to tell you that right now, Folly. If it's easy, I'm going to tell you it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
And for people that are looking for easy, I recommend getting used to the expression, would you like fries with that? Because there's no thinking in a job like that. I mean, there probably is because you got to deal with uncomfortable customers, but you can go home and leave it behind. If you're an architect, when you go home, you're still thinking about your customer. If you're a software engineer, when you go home, you're still thinking about your code. Because there's going to be something that didn't work and it's going to wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're going to be thinking about it. Any good job is going to require mental bandwidth. So there's really no difference between that, but it's what you're thinking about. All these jobs require that.
All right, so we've got 2 questions left right now. So if anybody's got any questions, make sure to bring them to us so that we can help you out. Let's see. Here we go. Lots of smiley faces. I'm a big fan of your work.
Awesome.
Money. All right. Mula says, I recently passed my CCP. What jobs can I start applying for? And what more skills do I need to prepare myself?
Chris Mulla, let's pretend you have the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional instead of the CCP. That doesn't prepare you for any jobs. So the key is, what job would you like to do? And then we can tell you which jobs. Certification is just the name of a service and how to configure that service. That's not anybody's job. So Chris, tell us what you'd like to do. Would you like to be an architect? We'll tell you how to get there. Would you like to be an engineer? We'll tell you how to get there. Do you want to be a DevOps engineer? We can guide you a little bit on how to get there. Do you want to be a cloud network engineer? We can tell you how to get there. A cloud network architect, we can tell you how to get there. A cloud security engineer, we can tell you how to get there. But we need to know the job. Just understand this. Nobody gets hired based on any certification, ever. The exception might be the Cisco Certified Internet Expert, but then again, it's about 75,000 pages of reading to pass that. And that requires a much greater level of competency. And the certification process for that will cost you no less than $10,000 to pass it because of the seriousness of that. But none of these cloud certifications are enough for any job, but they will help you get an interview, which is wonderful. So tell us what you'd like to do, and we can easily tell you how to get there.
All right. So Mocha Betty asks, what's the difference between a security cloud architect and a cloud architect?
Well, the cloud architect designs everything. So the compute, the data, the network, the security, it's a generalist position. The security architect only focuses on the security. So the firewalls, the intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems, the encryption strategy, the identity and access management strategy, what the demilitarized zones are going to look like, what the security policy is going to look with, for example, the security architect. What kind of training is necessary for the employees, anti-phishing, anti-malware, anti-social engineering campaigns, those kinds of things. With a cloud architect, going to focus on how do you make the business better with technology. Now, granted, the cloud architect will earn far more than the security architect, and here's why. Security architects focused on tech. Cloud architects focused on the business. The further away you get from the tech, the more you're going to earn. But they're both really, really great jobs. We've got lots of people, great cloud security architect jobs like Robert Welch and Delroy Batt. We do it all the time. We get more people cloud architect jobs. The key is, do you want to focus on the business and making the business better, or do you want to focus on the business of security? Cloud architect, big picture. Security, just the security piece. Great question.
All right, Edward says, thanks for what you guys do. Passed my solution architect associate in no small part because of your resources. Quick question, any recommended resources or best practices for cloud interconnectivity connecting AWS to Azure?
That's not really something we can answer on this live stream. That would take lots of training. I mean, because you're going to have to understand BGP. You're going to have to understand WAN technologies. You're going to have to understand high availability systems. And, my students would get that, but that's at least a 40 or 50 hour answer to teach you how to do that properly. And that's why we have over 500 hours of training in our program. It's more like 700 hours for our students to truly graduate of training. It's not something we could do in a 2-hour live stream or a 20-hour live stream because of all the complexities that actually go into this. Again, it would take us, that's why the AWS Advanced Networking is really nothing, because it doesn't even cover these things, and yet they call it a networking exam. It covers the topical piece, but not the what, the why, the performance, and all these other things. So, yeah, you're going to need training for that. I wish we could do that here, but it's just going to take a lot more time.
All right. So the next one is currently our last question. So again, if anybody's got any more questions, make sure to put them in here for us. So I'm new to this channel in cloud computing. How can I become a solution architect?
Why don't one of you guys start it, and then I'll...
We got a webinar for you on Thursday.
Yeah. Perfect timing, Jimmy.
Yeah. Eddie, if you can put that link to the webinar in the chat box, that would be great. I'll let Alonzo talk about that one, about how to become a solution architect. But I think the webinar is going to be a great place for you to start. So
indeed, Olajimi, it is a great place for you to start. I think that, first of all, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to get involved with Go Cloud Careers and with this awesome team. CEO Mike Gibbs and Chief Operations Officer Chris Johnson and myself, Chief Marketing Officer. We are definitely here to help you. I definitely believe that we'd love for you to contact us and get more information about what we do and how we do it on gocloudcareers.com. We have a plethora of resources for you, especially here on YouTube. But we definitely suggest that you join us, get signed up, how to get your first cloud job webinar there. We have a wonderful opportunity right now of you participating in our Cloud Architect Development Program, which is going on for our Ultimate Discount Countdown. You're able to get our normal price of $24.99 for an all well-spectrum, well-filled, detailed-oriented, curated development program specifically intended for those who have no cloud architect background, who have a little bit of tech background or anything else, and propel you forward into becoming a successful cloud architect using the tech side. We focus on your business acumen, social skills, cloud architect, CXO relevancy, presentation skills, a plethora of different skills to help you round out your skill set as being a cloud architect. Once you are there, we're able to assess your capabilities. We're able to curate your resume. We're able to curate your LinkedIn presence, be able to brand you effectively so that hiring managers will have no choice but to look at you, who you are, be able to invite you over into an interview. And we never push you in and out the door over a limited amount of time. You're going to have a full-time expectation of you focusing on the content until you get hired. So our job is not to certify you, get you certified from head to toe so that hopefully someone will pay attention to you. No, we focus on your competency so that you are able to effectively showcase your abilities to be a great cloud architect so that they will have no choice but to hire you. So this is the place to be right now. This is where you can get all your information, all your resources, and everything else by joining our community. But if you are hesitant on that, feel free to look at our testimonials on website. Look at our testimonials on YouTube about how we've helped everyone in every civilization, every culture, every continent, in major cities, about how we transform people regardless of where you're from, where you live. And they've gotten cloud hired across the continents in Australia, Denmark, Sweden, Brazil, United States, Africa, and so forth. So we are here to help. We can do it. We can provide everything that you need. And we would love for you to start with our Cloud Job webinar and our boot camp. You're going to love it. So we welcome you. What about you, Chris?
Chris had spoken, so I guess I'll pick it up.
Oh,
So,
Mike. Okay.
the point is,
You did such a great job there.
We could easily help you with our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, or you can pop into our How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. Robert Welch, you just popped into YouTube, one of our amazing cloud security architect graduates. We're thrilled to see you here. And by graduate, I mean working as a cloud security architect now. The key is to be an architect, you have to learn architecture. And the key is architecture is not engineering. We don't code, we don't configure, we don't do DevOps, we don't touch the technology ever, ever, ever. So to truly become a cloud architect, there's the things that you need to learn, which are both the business and the technical side. The reason we retrain 90% of the people that went to other schools and boot camps is they teach the tech. And guess what? Our job, we don't even touch the tech. So all these other things that are teaching the name of a service and how to configure it, we don't touch the tech. Architects aren't even allowed to touch the customer's tech. So the key is knowing the networking things, BGP, which WAN technology to select, whether you choose a private line versus a VPN versus software-defined networking or SASE, the switching technologies, such as VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, port channel, ether channel, link aggregation groups, those sort of things. It's not like the silly version and not in the AWS advanced networking. It's the real NAT, the one-to-one NAT, the one-in-one NAT, the static NAT, dynamic NAT, PAT. It's the DNS, DHCP, ARP, proxy ARP. And then what we're getting into is the data center technologies, servers and server virtualization, containers and container orchestration, storage area and networks such as block storage, object storage, file storage. Databases, for example, and when to use a relational database versus a data warehouse versus a NoSQL database, how to use them, not how to configure these things, which business applications can transform the business, the security that you're going to use, what kinds of encryption, what in your demilitarized zones, you need to look at your next generation firewalls, your IDS IPS systems, your VPN concentrators. And then it's learning how to sell, how to design, how to lead, how to build a business case, how to respond to an RFI, RFP, RFQ, how to negotiate, those kinds of things. We teach all of that. So the key is you could learn the network, the data center, and get an MBA, like I did, and then take about $100,000 of executive training I did after the MBA, because that stuff's not covered in an MBA. Or you could take a program like ours, and that's what we get people hired every single day. But attend the free webinar. We'll give you an entire list, and you'll know what to train with us or on your own and how to get there, because all I care about is that you get hired.
Right, so let's see here. What's the difference between a cloud solution architect and an enterprise architect, and how long would it typically take to attain either?
It depends. In general, a cloud architect and an enterprise architect are very similar. A good cloud architect focuses on the same things that an enterprise architect does. A bad cloud architect focuses on the technology as opposed to the business. Now, having said all of that, the cloud architect is a 50 to 80% business role and a 20 to 50% technology role. The enterprise architect is an all business role. I'm more your enterprise architect because the enterprise architect is more your executive. They truly focus on the business. Your enterprise architect is more about their soft skills and their leadership and their finesse. And it's truly a higher level position. And the key is, most cases, you need to be a cloud architect for a couple of years before you can be an enterprise architect, or a network architect for a few years, generally speaking, but not always. For example, we got Wallace an enterprise architect job, and it was his first tech job. We had Jermaine, a guy that I really loved. His last job was selling landscaping gear, and we just got him an enterprise architect job at SNMHU. We had Angelo, who we trained to be a cloud architect, but he was also an application architect first, so he got his enterprise architect after us. But generally, it's not number of years, it's how good you are. I mean, I was a principal architect, which people say 10, 15 years in 2 years. Why? Because I focused on being the best architect I could. I got guidance and expertise from expert architects and expert business leaders that told me exactly what to learn and all the stuff not to waste my time on. My peers, by comparison, were interested in impressing their friends. And we're getting 1,000,001 certifications. I focused on architecture, they focused on certifications. A year later, we were in different positions, my friends and me. So the key is it's where's your training coming from? How hard are you working at it? And what are you doing and how are you prioritizing in your life? I've seen people get enterprise architect jobs with no experience whatsoever. I've also seen other people never get there in 30 or 40 years, but it's based on the training. Engineering does not prepare you to be an enterprise architect or a cloud architect for that matter. The training does. But the key is how much business. Some enterprise architects are 100% business. Some of them are 80% business. But the key is the cloud architect is a little more technical than the enterprise architect.
All right. Alonzo, I'll let you read this next one.
From PTG Phil, good day to you all. Question: I finished boot camp, but I think I did not cover up to 70% of real world work. How do I go about doing more labs to improve my skills in DevOps and cloud computing? Well, let's assume PTG. What do you want to do? It didn't identify what your goals are towards that specific career, so we don't understand that. However, given the assumption of if it is a cloud architect, DevOps is not the skill set that is a part of cloud architecture's repertoire. It's a focus on understanding cloud, but understanding how to design it. But DevOps is a totally different skill set. But I will definitely defer to Mike as he has far more experience than me. Mike,
and PTG Phil, we need to know what career you want. Because if you want to be a DevOps engineer, you're going to need to do some DevOps things.
Right.
If you want to be a cloud engineer, don't focus on DevOps. It's somebody else's job. If you want to be a cloud architect, get all that stuff off of your resume. We don't touch the technology. Yeah. So PTG Phil, please tell us what you would like to do.
Exactly.
And then we can talk about what would be meaningful. But, for an architect to put DevOps on their resume, I have to remove it from people's resume. And we don't touch the tech ever as architects. So the key is we need to know what you're talking about. Now, PTG Phil, while we're at it, let's discuss job descriptions because they're the most irrelevant garbage I've ever seen. Here's how
let me preface this by saying that we're answering this because there's questions about job descriptions.
Yes.
Yes. So that because I'm about to put them up there since you went that route.
While we wait for them. In some jobs, so follow Shaka, you're talking in job spaces, they imply responsibilities being hands-on. That is an engineering job. Architects are not allowed to touch the technology. You can see our success stories when we ask people at AWS, are you allowed to touch the tech? And they say no. We asked Trevor, also who worked at AWS, he says, I'm not allowed to touch my customer's tech. I've been an architect for 25 years. If I tried to touch my customer's technology, I would be fired in a heartbeat. So what goes into a job description? Absolute garbage. So I write job descriptions periodically, and here's what I do. I have no time to write a job description. I'm not trained in writing job description, and personally, I don't care about a job description. The only reason I write a job description is HR wants it. So what I do is I go to Indeed, I go to Dice, I go to ZipRecruiter. I look up the thing that's got the most pages in the job description because it's going to impress my management team. I cut and paste it into Word, and I say, none of this includes what I need, and poof, I add my stuff, and then I re-upload it. The next hiring manager, and the next hiring manager does the same thing. Follow Shaki, I have never had more than 10% of what's on a job description, and I have never been declined to work for any company I ever desired to. My students get hired every day. We do not do proof of concepts. Here's what a proof of concept looks like, Follow Shaki. Customer wants a proof of concept. I go in there with my corporate American Express, and I bring in some cloud engineers and some DevOps engineers and some SysOps people. They build it. I supervise. I buy lunches. I buy dinners. I buy really good scotch and really good wine for them and steaks and lobsters. I then become their psychotherapist during the proof of concept. I diffuse all the heat in the room. We don't touch the technology as architects. Not now, not ever. So don't worry about what's in a job description. That's why you can't apply for jobs. That's why if it's your first job, you must go straight to the hiring manager. That's why we've got a chief marketing officer like Alonzo that builds our students' brands that are so good. Robert Welch, if you're still here, how many jobs did you apply for? How many people reached out to you per day to try and hire you because you did the branding work that me and Alonzo had helped you set up with? If you're still here, Robert Welch. The point is, you go straight to the hiring manager. There's nothing in a job description that is meaningful in any stretch of the imagination. It's an HR wish list. And you don't have to take my word for it. Chris gets in phone calls. I get in phone calls with C-level leadership, VPs of human resources. And when we ask them about their job descriptions, What did they tell you, Chris? The last HR team that we spoke to on job descriptions.
Say that again.
The last time you spoke to an HR department, a VP of HR, when you asked them about what's the silly coding and things in your architect job descriptions, what did he tell you?
Oh, they said there's a bad copy and paste job. And then I had another hiring manager tell me that they have contradictory job descriptions, meaning the same job description contradicts itself.
And you don't even have to believe me. You can look at CIO magazine. Basically what happened is Gartner realized that all these job descriptions were garbage. My buddies and I used it as a comedy routine looking at them. And ultimately, CIO magazine, my team can pop the link, tells you what they want in a cloud architect, and there's no tech in there. Robert Welch, here he goes. He was our student. He got dozens of recruitment attempts per day by putting it on there. And that way he didn't have to apply for jobs. Robert was an amazing student of ours, did everything we told him, showed up in class with the best attitude, and continues to help others. Robert, thanks for coming around. We're always honored and blessed to see you.
Good to see you, Rob.
So Gonzo asked, what are some AWS SysOps jobs I can look at to get an idea of skills, applications I need to learn or train in? DevOps and solution architect don't really interest me. So I would preface this by saying I wouldn't look at job descriptions.
Nope.
For SysOps roles. I would actually go and find people that are working in the role that you want.
Yeah.
And see what their experience looks like on LinkedIn. They're going to list that. That's a good place to start.
And exactly. So Gonzo Gamer, I'm going to make this very clear for you. If you want to do SysOps stack, great. Please understand the following. This is the lowest paying job in all of technology. And it's the one that has the least career potential of any other job out there. That does not mean you shouldn't do it if you love it. So look for someone that has senior SysOps. And the reason I say senior SysOps is you won't find a principal SysOps. You're not going to find a VP or a director coming out of SysOps. This is a technician level job. So please look at what other LinkedIn people have that have, say, senior SysOps engineer on their LinkedIn profile, as Chris said. Normally, we'd tell you go to director or distinguished or VP or principal, but we can't do that for SysOps because SysOps starts at SysOps and ends at SysOps. So look for a senior SysOps engineer and see what they have on their LinkedIn profile. And I have friends that are SysOps engineers and they love it. They like adding users to things like that.
All right. Does the career of a cloud consultant provide a seamless transition to a cloud architect role?
Polishaki, would being a flight attendant provide a seamless transition to being an airplane pilot? Would being a nurse provide a seamless transition to being a doctor? Would being a mechanic provide a seamless solution, a seamless path to being the lead engineer, the lead architect designing cars at Mercedes? Of course not. Every time you change jobs, you're going to have to change. It's going to be different. You can't train for one job by working in somebody else's. So no, not at all. You have to train for the job and get the education and training for the job that you want. There is no such thing as a seamless transition. And even if you worked as a cloud architect at AWS, you'd still have to do different things to be a cloud architect at Microsoft. It wouldn't be seamless.
So there's a follow-up clarification from earlier. My understanding of DevOps is automation of cloud services? Question mark.
Okay, so PGP, that's still not DevOps. DevOps is a merging of software development and automation, how to accelerate the velocity of software applications. So DevOps is a career for software engineers that are looking to do something different. And DevOps engineers need to be software engineers first, long before they would ever think about DevOps, because you're going to need to know what you know before automating. So DevOps is its own career for developers. Cloud engineering are the people that build the cloud, and cloud architects are the people that design the cloud. So I still need to know what you want to do, because that's a completely incorrect assumption on DevOps. There is some of that in DevOps, but that's not the majority of it.
So given the importance of business acumen, will architects be managers or have the capacity to be so?
You're muted, Mike.
Sorry, I muted you. I meant to mute myself.
We are managers. In most places, an architect is a director level position. And in every architecture, you will have to build and lead a team. You are always going to be managing, but it's going to be dotted line management, meaning you can't hire and fire the people that are working for you. You got to sell them into working for you, convince the management to give them for you, and then you got to reward them for working for you, like getting them promoted in their current place. But yes, this is a management job. These roles lead to C-level executive positions all the time, VPs of architecture positions all the time. This is a business job, and it is a leadership job. For example, when I was an enterprise architect at Cisco, that was a grade 13 or director level position. And in most organizations it is. And it's typically a higher position than most first and second line managers with a higher salary as well.
All right. So those are all of our questions for today. Any last words, Mike or Alonzo?
Well, we're always thankful. Hopefully, everyone, if you didn't find your courage to answer any questions, we hope that next time that we're providing the webinar that you compile your questions. Think ahead of time about what and how you're able to get these questions answered to start your career or maximize where you are in life from a technology perspective. We're always here to help. So we look forward to speaking with you all again next time. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, my point is that you can do anything that you desire, but you got to find what you want. And find what you want, master what you want, and go after it. Look, we can easily help you become a cloud architect. I can give you a million reasons not to become an SRE or a DevOps engineer or a cloud engineer, but what if you like that? What if you love coding? Then if you do, being a DevOps engineer or an SRE is really great. It really is great. And if it's going to make you happy, that's fantastic. Some people like to build the stuff on the cloud, and so the cloud engineer is a good career for them. Some people like me like to close billion-dollar deals. We find it fun. Architecture is the job for me. But the key is do what you like. That's the key, is do what you like. Now, I'm going to give you a secret. 99% of people waste their life. You heard me. They waste their life. They're so afraid to do something that they're there. I've had people that have spent 3 months on my YouTube channel before they signed up for our training. Now, the average architect earns $16,000 a month. They thought about it for 3 months. They lost $48,000 of earnings by the time they graduated by waiting. Some of them did it because they thought they were going to save $50 on a sale. So 48,000 minus $50 is 49,950 lost. But the point is, and it doesn't have to be training with us, but go after your dreams. Every day you're not living your dream is a day where you're closer to dying. I promise you, I know how it ends. I used to practice medicine. And I've watched people say, Mike, I wish I did this in my life. Mike, I wish I did this in my life. But I'm telling you right now, you can all do it. Every last one of you. It's not what's easiest. Throw that away. If it's easy, it's not worth it. Because everybody else is going to go for the low-hanging fruit of the easiest. And one day we'll talk about supply and demand curves and your salary. But I'm going to tell you, if everybody does it, that's your, now you're a commodity. Why is a diamond worth more than coal when they both come from carbon in the first place? One's more rare. Guess what? Real easy to get coal, real hard to get diamond. So which do you want to be, diamond or coal? I'm going to tell you to go be that diamond in whatever career that is. Go out there, learn what it takes, and go execute. Build your plan and execute. And keep going until you win. And just win. But you can all do it. Please join us on our completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar this Thursday. It's going to give you everything you need to know to get your first cloud architect job. There's lots of free giveaways we have right now. Chris, I'm assuming some of them are in the description below. Things like how to win the interview, things that you need to know to become a cloud architect in the description below. We'll post something tomorrow maybe on how to change careers, because changing careers is scary for most people, that you'll be able to download. I'll be posting it this afternoon. Follow me on LinkedIn, an article that I helped for CIO Magazine on what ChatGPT means for the future and how you can stand out and give yourself a competitive edge. But just go after your dreams. Please, just go after your dreams. Don't let anything hold you back, ever. I was almost afraid to enter technology. Everybody told me I was crazy. 6 months later, I was a senior engineer and I never worked in tech before. A couple months later, I was a lead architect at the world's largest internet service provider. Less than 6 months later, I was actually designing the largest system, the largest market maker on Wall Street, on the NASDAQ. I've loved every last minute of it. Go after your dreams. Just go after your dreams, however you do it. Anything from you, Chris?
Nope, I got nothing. I think you guys wrapped it up pretty good. Just want to remind Mike, I reminded you guys about the webinar on Thursday. I want to take the opportunity to remind you about our AWS boot camp that we're going to be doing April 11th to the 15th. That's going to be completely free for everyone. So make sure you register for that. The link is in the description. And last but not least, I also want to remind everybody about our discount countdown. Through the end of the month, we've got 30% off the award-winning Cloud Architect Career Development Program. So take advantage of that. Get access to 3 live classes a week for an entire year. Get access to 700 hours. I know it's over 500. I don't know the exact number of on-demand content. It's always growing, constantly growing.
Yeah.
So make sure you take advantage of that while it's available. It will not be available after the 31st, so make sure to take advantage of that. So we look forward to seeing everybody. We'll see you on Thursday at the webinar. Thank you all. Have a great day.